Shalom party people, and welcome to the 12th C. Human factors, distractions. For the purposes of this conversation, I'm going to assume that you are walking in Yahweh's will, that you are doing what you can to submit yourself to following him with everything that you've got. That doesn't mean that, you're perfect, because I mess up, you mess up. Like, that's just how this whole thing goes. But let's assume you're where he has planted you, which for the vast majority of us, you are where Yahweh has planted you. Like, that's just part of it. He wants you there for a reason, and when he wants you someplace else, he's going to call you. A whole separate conversation is, are you where Yahweh wants you to be? Which, for 99% of the people in this conversation, the answer is probably yes. There are definite times where he's calling us to uproot and go somewhere else. But like I said, that is a totally separate conversation from what this one is. This one, let's focus on you are where Yahweh wants you. And what are you doing while you're there? Are you doing the assigned task that he has given to you, which is going to have some, whole bunch of general tasks that are in there. But are you, eyes on the prize? Are you focused on the mission that he has given you, which in a lot of cases is to, serve and love him, to serve and love those around you, and to, build up brothers and sisters in the faith, and to, continue expanding the kingdom by being subservient to him and letting him expand his kingdom through what you're doing. So let's assume that, in general, that's what's going on with your life. And I'm not saying that, I'm good at it, and I'm not saying that you're good at it. I'm just saying that, we're trying to be obedient to him. There's a couple of things that we bring to the table in addition to, us trying to follow Yahweh with everything that we've got. What's your attitude? And then the other thing is, what are you focused on? Because it's really, really easy to get focused on the humdrum of, what the day-to-day life is. It's really easy to get focused on things that are not important. It's easy to get focused on things that are actually destructive to our being. And it, sometimes it's a product of the environment that we're in. Sometimes it's just the fact that we are hanging on to those things. And like I said, let's assume that you are where he wants you, and that you don't need to uproot and move someplace else, because, like I said, sometimes he tells us to flee from that situation. But what does it look like when maybe we bring the wrong focus on things? Like, we're worried about the minutia of the situation. We're worried about things that we think are problems that aren't really problems. What happens when, we're more worried about the humdrum of the day? What happens when we're more focused on, what our favorite sports team is doing, or what the election results come out to, or, some speech that somebody gave is just causing like the whole world to just change. And whether it's for good or for bad, if we're more focused on things that are not of him, if we're more focused on things that aren't the main goal, then it really starts taking away from what we're there. I mean, you could be focused on something that's very, very good, but it is not what he has called you to. You may have a specific assigned task, and you're more worried about something that may even be kind of related to that task. You're shoveling snow in the driveway, and you're, more worried about the snow that's in front of your mailbox than the driveway. It's like, you got to be able to get out of your driveway just to get to your mailbox. So, cart horse situation, I guess, in that. But regardless of whatever poor analogies come with that, what are we focused on? And is what we're focused on the right thing? I want to read to you out of Philippians 4. I'm going to start in, let's start in verse 4. Rejoice in Yahweh always. Again, I say rejoice. Let your gentleness be known to all men. The master is near. Do not worry at all, but in every matter, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to Elohim, and the peace of Elohim, which surpasses all understanding, shall guard your hearts and minds through Messiah Yeshua. For the rest, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is righteous, whatever is clean, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good report, if there is any uprightness, if there is any praise, think of these. and what you have learned and received and heard and saw in me, practice these, and the Elohim of peace shall be with you. And I rejoice in Yahweh greatly that now at last your concerns for me has received again through, though we were concerned, but had no chance. You know, in all of this, I really think the focus of that, for the rest, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is righteous, whatever is clean, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good report, if there is any uprightness, if there is any praise, that's what we're supposed to focus on. Think of these, is what Paul says when he's writing this. What is our mindset when we're doing what he has assigned for us to do? And that can include the basics of today. I mean, what is our mindset? If we are focused on things that are of him, that is going to matter 10 times more than if we are focused on ultimately things that don't matter. Let your gentleness be known to all men. The master is near. Do not worry at all, but in every matter, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to Elohim. I can think of several crises that I've been through. I can think of several, oh my gosh, you know, what's your will for my life kind of a thing. And it's always come down to a matter of patience. Like, a lot of times I've even known what the answer was going to be, but just waiting for it to actually come. And there's an element of distraction in the, like, when's this going to happen? It's like, are we more focused on, you know, when the steak's going to be done cooking so he can feed us, than the fact that he is going to feed us and it's going to be okay, and we might as well, while we're waiting, continue to love and serve him and love on others, serve others, and do his will. Like, that is a big thing. And so, like, even in the waiting game, sometimes the distraction of being impatient can really, really, like, throw off so much that's there. What are we focused on? It matters a whole heck of a lot. The other part of that, I'm going to be in Hebrews 11, and I'm going to go into 12. But think about our attitude. The attitude that we bring to the table is seriously, seriously important behind things. Let's go Hebrews 11, 32, and I'm going to read a couple verses into 12. So Hebrews 11, 32. And what more shall I say? For the time would fail me to relate of Gideon and Barak and Samson and Japheth and of David and Shamuel and the prophets. Through belief overcame reigns, worked righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the power of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, became mighty in battle, put foreign armies to flight. Women received back their dead by resurrection, and others were tortured, not accepting release to obtain a better resurrection. And others had trial of mockings and floggings and more of chains and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were tried, they were sawn in two, they were slain with the sword. They went about in sheepskins, in goatskins, being in need, afflicted, mistreated, of whom the world was not worthy, wandering in deserts and mountains and caves and holes of the earth, and having obtained witnesses throughout the belief, all these did not receive the promise. Elohim having provided what is better for us, that they should not be made perfect apart from us. We too then, having so great a cloud of witnesses around us, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily entangles us. Let us run with endurance the race set apart before us, looking to the Prince and Perfecter of our belief, Yeshua, who for the joy that was set before him endured the stake, having despised the shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of Elohim. For consider him who endured such opposition from sinners against himself, lest you become weary and faint in your lives. You have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin. And you have forgotten the appeal which speaks to you as to the sons. My son, do not despise the discipline of Yahweh, nor faint when you are reproved by him. For whom Yahweh loves, he disciplines and flogs every son whom he receives. If you endure discipline, Elohim is treating you as sons. For what son is there whom as a father does not discipline? Life's going to be hard sometimes. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. And in all of that, we can focus on the bad. We can focus on the good. We can focus on things that don't matter. What are we focused on? But also, what is our attitude in it? Let's endure the hard stuff. Let's rejoice in the good stuff. And let's also have a solid hope for what we know is coming. We know at the end of the age that Yahweh wins and that we will be with him forever because he will dwell with his people. We will be his people. He will be our God. That's just the way it works. In all of that, we know it is all going to work out in the end, even if we're confused on the details. Let's cross that finish line, having given it everything that we've got. What's our attitude that we are bringing to the table? What are the things that we're dwelling on while we are in the midst of everything? It doesn't mean that we don't, have rejoicing and weeping, and it doesn't mean that we don't go through all the highs and lows of life, because we will. But what's our main focus at the end? And then what's the attitude that we bring to the table? Are we going to have that persistent endurance? Are we going to have that focus on the things that are of him and the things that matter? Running back to Philippians 4 real quick, you get into where I cut off at verse 9. And what you have learned and received and heard and saw in me, practice these, and the Elohim of peace shall be with you. And I rejoice in Yahweh greatly that now at last your concern for me has received again, though you were concerned but had no chance. Nor that I speak concerning need, for I have learned to be content in whatever state I am. I know what it is to be humbled, and I know what it is to have excess. In any and every situation, I have learned both to be filled and to be hungry, both to have in excess and to be in need. And everybody seems to skip that verse when they're getting ready to quote 4:13, which comes up next. I have strength to do all through Messiah who empowers me. For whatever reason, cool, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yeah, that's a great verse, but what does it say beforehand? I know what it is to be humble, and I know what it is to have an excess. In any and every situation, I have learned both to be filled and to be hungry, both to have in excess and to be in need. Man, we need more people quoting that one. In all honesty, whether it's good, whether it's bad, I know what it takes to be content, because my contentment is in my Messiah. My contentment is not in my circumstances. My contentment is not in everything going right, because if everything was going right, you're still going to have a bad time. We will find things to complain about. It just is what it is. It's part of being human. I do it all the time. So in that, what are we focused on? What are the things that we are dwelling our minds on day in, day out, all the time? Are they good? And then what's our attitude? When we're doing what we have been assigned to do, are we bringing the proper attitude to the table so that way we can be focused on the right things, and that way we cross the finish line having run the race with endurance? What does that look like? Think about it. Read your Bible. Do what it says. Go do hard things.